So my story starts when I'm pretty young. I was actually, it started before that because addiction was like a thing in my family. My dad, he was just straight. He was like a trash can. Booze, drugs, didn't fucking matter anything. But he hid that shit all the time. So I never knew when I was young what was going on. Then when we were like 12, they sat me, my brother, my sister, all of us down and told us that our dad was an alcoholic. And I didn't fucking really know. I knew what it meant, but I didn't really know what it meant. He was going to rehab is what it meant. That's why they were telling us. So like for like the next 3 years, it was like 2 times a year my dad would disappear for 2 months and go to rehab. Then we get a little older, he starts doing good. But his last trip to rehab, I remember me and my mom drove down there. By that time, I was already using, and I was I was I remember I was fucking withdrawing drive when we were driving him down to rehab. You got the same case I do, and that's when that shit all started. For me, anyway, I was like 15 or 16. I was a senior in high school, and I started doing them pills. Everyone was doing them fucking pills, and then them pills went away. And once it turned to dope, that was it, really. And once it turned to Fetty, that was really it. And Fetty sucked. It didn't get you high, made you feel like shit, but you would get sick 4 hours after you took that shit. You'd be done for it. You'd be just take it, fall asleep, wake up, take it, fall asleep. That's your whole fucking life. Falling asleep all over the place in the car. I remember I'd wake up. I had my mom's car because I had already crashed mine and totaled it. I woke up. I'm in the middle of Kensington, just floating down train tracks, going like 2 miles an hour down the train tracks, completely asleep. Just woke the fuck up, riding around these fucking train tracks. Somehow I got off them things behind the Rite Aid and fucking Kensington and got on the road and somehow did not get pulled over or nothing. I got home. But I got arrested down there like 2, 3 times. Every time they just take you to outreach, ask you if you want to go to rehab, I'd say nope. They'd let me right back out onto Allegheny. I'd go right back and cop again.
So what are some of your, do you remember any of the like dangerous situations that you put yourself in or that you were in going through your addiction
Oh, yeah.
at the hands of other people?
Yeah, I had a gun pulled on me more than a couple of times, all in Philly. I know one time I had a little kid pull a shotgun on me in Wilmington. He was like a 13-year-old kid. I was in the car. It was Christmas night. There was nobody out. I'm coming down Van Buren. I just met my boy. And I get this stoplight at Van Buren. This little 13-year-old kid comes out with a shotgun trying to, I don't know if he's trying to carjack me or what. But in Philly, I had a couple of, usually you're always in groups of people. Like, there's so many people up there. And like, if you're going to a block to get something, there's already a group of people there. But sometimes some of these blocks would get shady as fuck and they'd have something good for a week or two. They'd get people coming there, and when they'd run out, they'd have people come in. They'd put you in they had a vacant lot. Lots of them had a vacant lot they worked out of. They'd put you in the lot, line you up with all these people. You ain't got nowhere to go. One way out. They'd come up with a gun and rob everyone in there. Half the time, I'd just walk away, and they wouldn't say shit. There'd be so many people there. You just walk away, and you're good. But a couple of times, they took my shit, or I had... one time I was up there at like 12:30 by myself. I was fucking sick as shit. I used to go up there by myself usually, but a lot of times I'd take my buddy. But it was like 1 o'clock at night. I was up there by myself. I'd already got my shit, and I'm walking. I had a long walk back to where I parked, and this kid like probably 16, 17-year-old kid. It was always them. It was always younger kids doing crazy shit. Like, I never got a gun or a knife pulled on me by an adult or someone my age. It was always a kid. And I'm walking back to the car. I got like an 8-block walk. I'm sick as shit. And I got this kid following me, asking me all these questions, asking me what I was doing, what I got, all this shit. And I'm just trying to, like, I don't know, like just talk to him until I can get close to the car where I can, get out of there. Because the whole time we're talking, he's in his pocket. And I could see him in his pocket holding something. And it wasn't a gun. He had a little knife or something. But we finally get over to the car, and he's asking me for a ride. So I'm like, all right, I'll give you a ride. And I unlock just the driver's side door. I get in, I shut it, I start it up. I didn't unlock the door for him to get in. I start driving off, and this motherfucker smashes my back window. It's not even my car, it's my mom's car. Smashes the back window right the fuck out of that thing. I don't know what was in his hand. I thought he had a little knife, but he must have had something else. But he threw it, and that back window exploded. And I kept going, and I got like 2 blocks before I got pulled over by a cop because I have a back window in this fucking car. And of course, the cop gets me for, I got dope on me. I hadn't gotten high yet. I'm still sick as shit. So I get taken in. It's like, at this point, it's like 2 in the morning. They take me in. There's no outreach. It's too late at night. So they're like, we're going to book you. So I'm like, fuck, all right, well, I got these warrants in fucking Delaware. Now I'm about to get booked in PA. And I know PA is going to fuck me. And even if they don't, they're going to fucking, Delaware's going to come get me because I've had these warrants for fucking 3 years. And they've been looking for me and they couldn't find me. So I'm bugging out. It's 2 in the morning. I'm sitting in the police station on a bench. They don't even got me cuffed. And like 4 o'clock rolls around. I'm there for like 2 hours. 4 o'clock rolls around. This lady comes out and it's just like, are you waiting for outreach? And I said, no, they said outreach is closed. I'm waiting for, they said they're booking me. And she was like, okay, let me talk to somebody. She comes back. She's like, all right, just come back. She's like, come back at 7 in the morning when outreach opens. They're not going to book you, but you need to come back. And I was like, okay. I never came to fuck back. I went right back. It was 4 o'clock in the morning. I went out. I found some shitty dope. The only shit that was out at 4 o'clock in the morning because I was sick as a dog. And I did it. I went to fuck him, came right back up the next day. And that next day, I came up with my buddy. And he had brain cancer real bad. And he was like, half the reason he was using was because of that brain cancer. But me and him used to go up a lot. He would drive and I would get out and get everything.
With brain cancer?
Yeah. Well, he's good now. He's completely in remission. They did an experimental treatment for him, which they'd done quite a few of those for him, but they did one that actually worked, and he's been in remission for over a year. He looks great. The best he ever looked. He can talk. Before he couldn't talk without stuttering. Some days he couldn't talk at all. He couldn't stop shaking. It was bad.
So I had a question. I do have a question. With everything you've been through with the addiction side, when did you realize that things were out of control, out of hand, and you wanted to work on doing something different, getting your life on track, back on track?
For a long time, when it was pills and heroin, I don't think you could have convinced me that I would have been better off without it, because I could manage those two. Like, I could hide it. I kept a good job. I was working in the hospital. I was making really good money. I'd finished college while I was doing it. And then right around my second or third year working at the hospital, everything changed. There was no more dope. There was no more pills. It was all fetty. Even if someone told you it was dope, it was fetty. And worse than that, like 2 months after it became all Fetty, it was not just Fetty, it was Fetty and tranq. And like there is no hiding this shit, but you can't just not do it. So I was either going to work sick as a dog and probably looking worse than when I was high, or I was going high and falling asleep every time I sat down in my chair. But it got to the point where it was like I couldn't manage it anymore. I was late every time I was going to work. I was late when I'd get called in for an overnight scan. I'd be all fucking late. And eventually they were like, look, we talked to you too many times about being late. We're letting you go. And they fired me. So I got another job. And at that time, I was like, all right, I'm doing my little prayer. God, please just give me this job. If you give it to me, I'll change everything. I'll fix it all up. I promise. I get this other job. Start using right away. First paycheck, I'm off the rails, bro. Like, that's when I'm talking about waking up on fucking train tracks in Kensington and all that shit. And after at that point, I couldn't stop crashing cars. I was totaling all my cars. My insurance was through the fucking roof. Got a DUI. Got charged with possession, intent to distribute, all this bullshit. And I went to rehab. And I was like, I felt like I was there, like it's like what I wanted, but I made it like 4 or 5 months, and I relapsed, and I was back running again for 2 years. But that whole time, that whole 2 years, it was like it wasn't even love hate. I hated it. I hated every part about it. I just couldn't be sick all the time. Like the withdrawal from what I was doing at that point, the amount, and just it was just shit. It wasn't heroin, like I said. It was fucking Fetty mixed with God knows what animal tranquilizers. The withdrawal from that was so wicked, man. It was debilitating. Like you could not work. I used to work dope sick all the time, but this shit would have you hunched over and you just couldn't do anything.
I had a question about that because I always hear people talk about the pain that comes along with the withdrawal.
It's terrible.
Like the pain, like physical pain. What can you describe that pain?
I can describe it, but I truly think it's something that unless you've experienced, you'll never truly understand. But people compare it to having the flu, and it is like having the flu. But then add into that mentally you're destroyed. You're probably depressed, anxious, all the worst feelings in your head, and you can never get comfortable. No matter what you do, you will not only will you not be comfortable, you'll be as uncomfortable as you could possibly be. Everything feels off. Your legs, your arms, your eyes won't stop watering, you won't stop yawning, you're shitting constantly, your stomach hurts, you can't sleep. When I went to rehab the first time, I didn't sleep for a month. They didn't get me started on Suboxone for a month. I didn't sleep till they started me on it. A solid month, I would sleep a half hour at a time. At night, I would go crazy in that bed, bro. Just all over the place. Moving. I'd try to turn the TV on or some music or something. Nothing helped, bro. Nothing helps. The only thing that'll help with withdrawal is more dope. And once you get through that and you're on the other side and you're feeling like yourself again, you'll trick yourself into thinking you can go through that again. You can do it again. But that last time I knew that was it. I had that in me to get that out of me, and that's it. I can't do that shit again. And I'm pretty convinced at this point that I'll never touch dope again. But also know if I do, I'll probably die. It'll probably kill me. I'll probably do it and overdose. Because the first time I relapsed, I was like, all right, let me snort a bag so I'm not just shooting up. I haven't done anything in a long time. And I snorted half a bag. That shit had me fucking retarded. And then the very next bag went right back to the needle. So I know I'll do it if I go back to it. And if I shoot that shit up, I've been sober for over 3 years from heroin. It'll kill me. One shot will fucking kill me. I know it will. But it is the most unbearable thing. And when you watch a person going through it, I know it'd be easy to say, like, suck it up, get over it, because visually they look like shit, but it doesn't look like they're dying, you know? But you feel like you're fucking dying. You honestly feel like you're dying. Everything is out of whack. Your whole body, everything's doing the opposite of what it should be.
So what is your strategy now for staying away from not just the temptation, but staying away from the chemical?
You know, it's weird. When I was in this last time when I went through rehab, I went to detox down in Georgetown at Sun, and it was really nice. Probably the nicest detox I ever went to. And there wasn't a lot of rehabs that would take the insurance I had, so I ended up at it's down something Manor, Earl Manor or something. It's down in Maryland, like by the Chesapeake. Warwick, yep. I ended up in Warwick, and they were so crazy there, bro. Like, they got microphones everywhere so they can listen to what you're saying. You're not allowed to talk to the girls at all, but they also, like, put you together. It's the weirdest thing. So I'm walking out there with this girl that I knew from before the rehab. We've known each other for a long time. She used to date one of my good friends. And we're walking down there talking, and we're talking about Suboxone. And they hear us on this microphone talking about Suboxone. So they bring me, her, and a few other people into the office, and, like, you all gotta go. And I'm like, what the fuck? Why? And they were like, first off, you two were together alone. I was like, okay. We were out there's a lake. We're outside. It's not like we're in someone's room. And then they started talking about people selling their Suboxones to each other. And the rest of them in there were selling Suboxones to each other. I know they were, because I was going to buy one from the one dude, but I never did, and she didn't either. But they put us all in the van and drove us to the Walmart in Seaford. I didn't even have a cell phone. I'm just sitting at the fucking Seaford Walmart. No way to call nobody. I'm 2 hours from where I live. Finally, someone lets me use a phone, and I call my buddy, and he comes and gets me, but it takes him like 4 hours, so I'm sitting down here at this fucking Seaford rehab forever. So I tell him, can you drop me off at my parents' place? And I show up at my parents' place. I knock on the door. They're like, what the fuck? Why are you not in treatment? And I tell them this whole story, and I start over. I go to, I couldn't get into Kirkwood Detox at this point because it had been so long since I'd used that my piss tests weren't showing things to get in. Or no, I was scared that it wasn't gonna show stuff for them to let me in, so I drank a beer real quick, so I peed some kind of substance, so they let me in. I got there, I was still popping for Fetty. It was like 3 weeks later, I was still popping for it on drug test, so I didn't have no problem. But they let me in this rehab, or this detox, and I'm there for like 3 days. And on the third day, I'm sitting on the couch feeling like shit, feeling this withdrawal. And we're almost a month at this point of being clean. I'm still withdrawing like a motherfucker, still not sleeping. And I'm sitting there on this couch watching TV, and just like this feeling comes over me. It's like all of it's just like being pulled out of me. It was the weirdest thing in the world. It was definitely like a work of some power beyond me. I don't know what, but it just like it was like it just reached in and pulled it out. And from that point till today, like that, a lot of that was just removed from me, and I can't explain it. I can't, like, I don't know how you duplicate that, but I was just sitting there, and like all of a sudden I'm comfortable. Like I could just sit there comfortably. I could sleep. Like my thoughts were better. It just was just taken out of me. I don't even know how to explain it. It's really weird. It was a weird thing when it happened, and I got done with that. I had 2 more days in that detox. I went to rehab. No problems. Just smooth as can be. Rehab was great. This rehab up in Kennett that everyone says is terrible, and I got in there and they offered me like this special spot in a off-campus house and just live with a few people, and I took that. That was the best rehab I ever went to. The people were great, but like I think also it's because I was like locked in. I was ready for it, and ever since then I just have had this weight that's not there that was there forever. Because that weight was there for fucking ever, and it's just gone. And I hope it never comes back. But you know, it wasn't 100% my doing. Like it's not. It wasn't just do this work. I mean, maybe it is, but at some point, something beyond that happened, and yeah, that's about it. Something